And we are back. Welcome to my review of FPL Game Week 2 and my early thoughts going into Game Week 3. And let's start by addressing the elephant in the room, my big decision to transfer out Bukayo Saka and transfer in Phil Foden because Man City were playing Ipswich at home and Man City were obviously going to play Foden now that he was fully back. He called in sick, he didn't play, and I didn't even set a proper vice-captain, meaning that I only got 2 points from my captain.
Stupid fat hobbit.
However, in spite of all of that, I still got 66 points this week, which I'm actually quite happy with. Yes, the average was 69, but that's because of the 40% of people that had Haaland and Captain Haaland, and he got, 34 or something? So to still get 66, to still only be 3 points behind the average, and after the first 2 weeks of the FPL season to be averaging 68 points a week without Salah and without Haaland, I'm actually pretty happy with. Obviously, Palmer 17, Smith Rowe 10, my backline for the second week running. Raya 10, Trent 6, Porro 6, Robinson 7, off the back of Raya 8, Porro 9, Hall 5, Trent 8. So my backline has been absolutely fantastic the first 2 weeks. Obviously, it's very disappointing when you make a decision like that and it doesn't work out. And obviously, disappointments again for Watkins, again for Bruno, and again for Eze, and again for Armstrong. So to still be in the position I'm in, I'm actually really happy with. Yes, I've had a drop-off in terms of my league position, but I'm still really happy with the squad that I've got. I still think, obviously, it didn't end up being the right decision transferring out Saka for Foden, but going into the next 3 weeks, I still think Foden is a better shout than Saka. I think, obviously, Saka is due to probably have another good week against Brighton at home, but again, you look at Foden's fixtures when he's got West Ham, Brentford, and then it is Arsenal at home. Compared that to the Saka has got Brighton at home, Tottenham away, and Man City away. I still think Foden's the better shout going forward. What's going to be interesting for me now is what I do in regards to this week, whether or not I do make a change or I just stick with this team, because then we've got an international break where I could then make 2 transfers if people get injured and whatnot over the course of the international break. In terms of Dave's team, this one was able to get 88. This is the team that does have Salah and Haaland in, and I did choose to triple captain Haaland in this team, and obviously he got those 51 points, which meant that we ended up getting 88 overall. Little bit ropey in terms of the defence. It's amazing how it swings and roundabouts where I've got a really good defence in my main team and I've got an absolutely shocking defence in this team. Sanchez 1, Martinez 1, Cucurella none, Mikalenko none. Solanke obviously got injured, Quansah didn't play, Castagna didn't play, so changes are definitely needed to this team, and Kunku looks like he's not going to be starting regularly for Chelsea now going forward as well, so lots of potential issues surrounding that. But again, look at the midfield. Gordon 10, Gibbs-White 10, Salah 10, and obviously Haaland 51, which means that Dave has actually put himself now into the top half of the Esso 99 League, which if I click on now, you will see that we have a new leader at the top of the table, and that is Mr. Will Lawrence, who scored a lovely round 100 points to put himself to the top of the table, 179 after the first 2 weeks. A very good performance from them, and they also didn't triple captain Haaland. Just a really good all-round team performance from them. So fair play and well done to them for securing top spot at the end of game week 2. As I say, my 2 teams as things stand, the Mega Minions are on 139, so that is a full 40 points behind. And then my actual team, which is in 63rd, only a further 3 points back on 136. So like I said, I'm happy with where my team's at the moment. The only other thing to discuss from last week is the FPL challenge, because if we go to my TikTok from last week, don't forget to subscribe and follow me on TikTok. This is the team that I made for Dave's account regarding using Haaland over picking 4 outright strikers. I picked Haaland as captain, Pedro, Jefferson and Welbeck. Obviously, Haaland scored 3. Pedro and Welbeck all scored. Sadly, McCarthy didn't get a clean sheet. But this team would have got 87 points, which would have been enough for 4th place overall in the challenge for this week. However, to further compound the mistakes I made going into last weekend in terms of taking Foden in for Saka, I never saved this team. So what I actually had on Dave's account was this. Still a decent score, but Gui never came on. Archer only got 1. I never actually saved the team. I cannot believe that I've done that, but it was still 76 points. My main account got like 20. It was absolutely stinky. So, like I say, make sure you subscribe to the TikToks and the YouTube shorts on this channel so you don't miss out on my challenge team for next week, which I believe is an all promotion challenge. Am I right in saying that? Yeah, promotion players only. So that'll be an interesting one going into next week. So make sure you don't miss out on that short coming out for you on Friday. However, to go full circle, to go back to the main account on the main team, to talk about transfers for game week 3. Firstly, you need to bear this in mind. Chelsea are going to be playing their second leg of the Europa League on Thursday night. Also, the Europa Conference League qualification on Thursday night. Also, the other 13 Premier League teams that aren't in Europe are playing in League Cup action either tonight or tomorrow night. So if I were you, I would once again be holding fire because there is a lot of potential for players to get injured ahead of Friday's deadline. Yes, we know that that means it could affect player prices. But if I actually go to transfers now, player prices have already changed. Foden's down to 9.4, Bruno's down for 8.4. I've got to hold that because they're 2 players in my team. My current budget is now 99.8 million. I'm actually down. But, as I've already spoken about, I'm happy. However, if you're looking for players to bring in for next week, my main advice would obviously be Chelsea. Chelsea have got Crystal Palace at home. They played some good stuff. Palace are struggling. And then they've got Bournemouth, West Ham, Brighton, Forest. Chelsea players are the ones to go for. Madueke 6.5. Pedro Neto 6.5. Nicholas Jackson 7.5. Even potentially some defenders, but as we saw in Dave's team, maybe don't trust the Chelsea defence right now. But certainly getting Chelsea players into your account, I think, is crucial going into the next couple of game weeks. If you don't want to go for Chelsea players, looking ahead for this week, the players you really want to be looking at, in my opinion, are Bournemouth players. So the likes of Evan Nilsson for 6 million or Antoine Semenyo for 5.5, and he's already contributed in both games so far. They have got Everton away next, and I think Bournemouth have got a very good chance of beating Everton there. My only concern with going for Bournemouth players is then this. Chelsea at home, Liverpool away. However, as we've just spoken about, Chelsea's defence isn't the greatest. So that could be another like 6-2 like it was at Wolves, and you could still see Semenyo doing something. So I think Bournemouth players are all right, and then obviously Southampton and Leicester coming up for them as well. Other than that, again, I'd be thinking maybe a Nottingham Forest player, maybe going for a Gibbs White or a Chris Wood, but their fixtures after this week aren't great. You've then got the likes of Johan Visser at Brentford because it looks like he's going to be their striker going forward. But again, after Southampton at home, it's Man City away and Spurs away. So if you're going for someone like Visser or Mbermo, you're probably looking at only really using them for 1 week. So I'd probably say avoid them unless you've got multiple transfers available to you going forward. And then finally, my final tip for this week has got to be Aston Villa. Ollie Watkins, any of their defence, but for 5 million, I don't know if his price has gone up yet, Morgan Rogers, who is only 5 million, but he looked absolutely on fire against Arsenal, and the goals and the assists are going to start coming for him. 5 million, Leicester away, Everton at home, Wolves at home, Ipswich away. This is an absolute bargain player to get in your side right now. There is no doubt in my mind he is about to start contributing heavily. And if you're looking at the likes of a Bruno Fernandes or an Eberechi Eze, who's not done much in your team yet, get some budget in and go for a Morgan Rogers. And if you haven't got the likes of an Aston Villa defender or an Ollie Watkins, for me, again, with these fixtures coming up, they're a must-have for the next run of games. But, like I say, be patient. Don't go crazy. Don't go getting your players in just yet, because we don't know what is going to happen in terms of the next few days, in terms of injuries from that Carabao Cup games and Chelsea's second leg in Europe. However, Aston Villa are not playing until next weekend. So Morgan Rogers coming in is certainly something you could do right now. Ollie Watkins coming in is certainly something you could do right now. But I would still heed caution as to which player you could take out in case they are someone that is going to end up getting injured. That is my review of Game Week 2, my early preview for Game Week 3. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you on Friday.